73% of Americans are worried about being able to pay for groceries, not next year, right now. This video follows the money from a tariff announcement in Washington to the price tag on your groceries, shows you exactly how many cents on every dollar go to a tax you never voted for, and reveals why the biggest price increases haven't even hit the shelf yet. Because the people raising your prices don't work at the grocery store. They work in Washington. Here's where your grocery money actually goes. The Trump tariffs are the largest tax increase as a percentage of GDP since 1993. Not the largest tariff, the largest tax increase of any kind. The Tax Foundation estimates they cost the average American household $1,500 in 2026. The Yale Budget Lab puts it between $650 and $1,340, depending on which tariffs remain in place. Those aren't projections, those are calculations based on tariffs that are already in effect. But here's what most people don't understand about tariffs. They're not paid by China or Canada or Mexico. They're paid by American importers. And American importers pass the cost to American consumers. When Trump placed tariffs on Chinese goods in his first term, U.S. importers and consumers paid almost entirely for them. Chinese producers did not lower their prices. That's not theory. That's what the Joint Economic Committee of the U.S. Congress documented. So when a 25% tariff is placed on Canadian lumber, the American who buys a house pays more. When a tariff hits Mexican produce, the American who buys avocados pays more. When a 100% tariff is placed on branded drug imports, which Trump announced in April 2026, every American who takes a prescription pays more. The tariff is invisible at checkout. There's no line on your receipt that says tariff tax, but it's built into the price of everything you buy. Now here's the part that should make you angry. The worst hasn't hit yet. Tariff-driven cost increases take 12 to 18 months to fully pass through to retail shelves. The Liberation Day tariffs from April 2025 are just now landing on grocery prices. The 2026 tariffs haven't even started flowing through. Morningstar projects that non-durable goods, food, clothing, paper products, cleaning supplies, will rise 5.6% in 2026, nearly triple the pre-pandemic inflation rate. For a household spending $800 a month on groceries, that's an additional $45 a month, $540 a year, on top of what you're already paying. And that's just the tariff math. The Iran war is stacking a second crisis on top of the first. When the Strait of Hormuz closed in March 2026, it didn't just spike oil prices, it spiked fertilizer prices. Over 30% of the world's urea, the chemical that makes corn, wheat, and dairy production possible, passes through that strait. Urea prices jumped 50%. The spring planting season was already underway when the supply vanished. Here's why that matters to what you eat. American corn is the single most important crop in the U.S. food system. It feeds the cattle that become your steak. It feeds the chickens that become your nuggets. It feeds the dairy cows that produce your milk, butter, and cheese. Corn syrup sweetens your soda. Cornstarch thickens your soup. When corn gets expensive, everything in the grocery store gets expensive. American farmers apply roughly $12 billion worth of fertilizer every year, and a significant share of the raw materials just got 50% more expensive because of a war most Americans can't find on a map. The food price increases from the strait closure will land on your grocery bill between September 2026 and early 2027. You're paying tariff costs now. You'll pay war costs later, and they stack. So who's actually getting the money? Follow the money from your grocery cart backward through the system. Start with what you can see. Italian pasta heading from $3 to $6. Because of a combined 107% tariff, Mexican avocados face 25%. Electronics from China up 18% short term. Clothing up 8%. The tariff revenue goes to the U.S. Treasury, In 2025, about $80 billion. Real money from American consumers, not foreign governments. A consumption tax with a different name? But the tariff doesn't just raise government revenue. It raises prices across the board, including for domestic producers who aren't subject to the tariff at all. When Trump placed tariffs on imported washing machines in 2018, domestic manufacturers like Whirlpool and GE raised their own prices even though their products weren't tariffed. The tariff gave them cover to charge more. The same thing is happening with groceries. Domestic food producers are using the tariff environment as cover to raise prices beyond what the tariff actually costs them. Businesses absorbed roughly 80% of the tariff bill in 2025 through margin compression. But that cushion is running out. In 2026, the ratio is flipping. And once prices rise, they almost never come back down. Grocery prices demonstrate what economists call asymmetric pricing. They rise quickly when costs increase and fall very slowly, if at all, when costs decrease. Even if every tariff were removed tomorrow, the prices on your grocery shelf would likely stay where they are. The increase becomes permanent. This is why 73% of Americans across political parties are worried about paying for groceries. That number comes from a Council on Foreign Relations poll conducted in January 2026. Not left or right, 73% across the board. And here's the final piece. The tariffs hit the poorest Americans hardest. The Yale Budget Lab found that the tariff burden on the lowest income Americans is about 3 times higher than on the wealthiest as a share of their income. The bottom 10% of earners lose about 1.9% of their after-tax income. The top 10% lose 0.6%. Tariffs are a regressive tax. They take more from the people who can afford it least. The traditional advice is to shop smarter, buy generic, use coupons. That advice isn't wrong, but it doesn't change the system. The system is designed to move money from your grocery cart to the U.S. Treasury, to domestic producers who raise prices under tariff cover, and to the corporations that lobby for the tariffs in the first place. Walk into a grocery store today. A pound of ground beef, up because corn feed costs more, because fertilizer costs more, because the Strait of Hormuz closed. A bag of avocados, up because of a 25% tariff on Mexican produce. A box of pasta, up because of a 107% tariff on Italian imports. A jug of laundry detergent, up because the plastic container is made from petroleum, and petroleum is up 60%. A bottle of vitamins, up because of the new 100% tariff on pharmaceutical imports. Every item carries a hidden surcharge, some from tariffs, some from the war, some from both. None are labeled, none were voted on, all paid by you. The sticker price on your groceries is the final page of a story that starts in Washington. A tariff is signed. An importer pays. A manufacturer raises prices. A retailer adjusts. And 6 to 18 months later, you pick up a bag of groceries that costs $1,500 more per year than it did before anyone said the word tariff. You didn't vote for this tax. There's no line for it on your receipt, but you pay it every single week. It is always about the money.